Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
Hi. So tell me a little bit about yourself, what you've done and where you are right now.
I had a very successful jewelry business for 10 years, and I designed for Nordstrom, Neiman Marcus, and Saks, and I also hosted for QVC, where I sold $5,000 a minute on air. And 2 years ago, I lost everything from the economy. So I feel like I just experienced a massive earthquake, and right now, today, I'm picking up the pieces. I'm in transition, and I don't know what that means for me. I'd like to get back into my jewelry again, but on more of a spiritual path.
On more of a spiritual path.
Yes.
So what does that mean? And what would that look like?
What that means for me and what that looks like for me is helping people with stones, jewelry stones, and making them feel pretty. Because I believe that if you feel pretty, you vibrate differently in the world.
What is it that you want, ultimately? What is it that you want?
I want to brand myself, and I want to help women and men on all levels.
So talk a little bit more about that, because you said before you had a jewelry business. So how is that different from what it is that you want to do now?
It's the same as far as material. It's different as far as what it will be used for. It'll be used for an energetic, spiritual foundation.
So you want to go back into jewelry, but in a different way?
Yes.
Okay. With a new intention?
Yes.
With the stones?
Yes.
Okay. And so what would be different in terms of actually launching and offering that, if that's what you want to do?
The difference is a big part of me, which is fear of success.
And what do you think is behind that in terms of the fear? Like, what comes to you? What do you feel when you think about doing that?
What do I do first? What do I do first? Because I see it being huge, but what do I do first?
What would you do first?
Make a necklace.
Make a necklace?
Yes.
What would the necklace look like?
The necklace would be rose quartz.
And how would you make this necklace? Just tell me a little bit about that.
The necklace
what would
would
you
be
do?
simple, and it's rose quartz is love, and that's when you wear it, that's what you radiate. And the pink color is also love, and when you see pink, it's love. And so you would wear it here. So I would make one necklace here that just would be a rose quartz piece.
So when could you do that?
Today.
You could do it today?
Yeah, I could do that today.
And you have everything you need to do it?
I have everything I need to do it.
Okay. And if I called you tomorrow, it would be done?
It would be done.
Okay.
But in my mind, I'm thinking, what's one piece going to do? How is that going to get me to where I need to go?
So what would that do if you started with just one piece? So you've already made your piece. Just
Right.
imagine that you've already made your piece. How do you feel about that?
I feel like I've accomplished one thing.
And how many things can you do at a time?
One thing at a time.
So what I'm getting to, Melissa, is that you're so focused on the big result of like what this is, that you aren't able to flow your energy into the small things you need to do to get to that place. And it's so overwhelming. It's so much.
Yeah.
And so what we're going to work on a little bit today is breaking it down.
Okay.
So that it's accessible.
You made me think of something that I have to accept the fact that it's one thing at a time. And acceptance for me is really painful. Like I don't want to accept that it's one step at a time. But that's not how.
And so what about that? What's behind you not wanting to accept it?
It feels fearful and too painful to even process.
Okay.
I go back to that last 2 years that I had of such a hard time in picking up the pieces from the earthquake that I experienced.
Okay, so when you think about doing one thing at a time, you go back into your whole past in the 2 years.
Yes.
Okay, so what is it about? Like, let's just imagine now, like, let's go through it together. You have one thing to accomplish.
Yes.
And what percolates up in your consciousness? What's coming up for you?
My ego.
What does your ego say?
My ego tells me that I don't want to start from the beginning again.
And then what shows up when you think about that?
That's what's holding me back.
But there's some picture or image or memory that you go back to when you think about it. Do you know, like, when you can get really quiet inside, what that would be?
And the image that I see is the struggle that it took me to get to where I was.
What's behind the ego? What is the ego saying?
Oh, the ego is saying that I can't be more successful than my father.
Okay, so where does that come from?
Early programming, early childhood.
Did something happen?
Yes. When I was 7, I told my dad that I wanted to be an actress, and he told me that it was for very special people.
So you felt that you didn't fit into that category of special people?
No.
Okay. What else would you say from your heart? What would you want to tell him?
It's hard for me because in my adult body, I want to tell him that I'm not here to do what he wants me to do, which was go to law school. I don't want to be here to do what he wants me to do. I want to do what I want to do, what feels, what resonates in my soul.
How does that feel to tell him that?
Powerful.
People don't realize that trauma, what happens in trauma is that you actually do split off in different directions, and it's very difficult to be present in the now time. So what you're doing is, through healing, is you're bringing back parts of yourself so that you can feel like you're here, and it's safe to fully be here and be in your body. Does that make sense? Because when something happens, we disassociate, we go somewhere else. Because it's too traumatic, we can't be here. So we start splitting off, and we split off in all these different directions. Through this process, we're just bringing it back, and then we're identifying. So how do you feel now when you think about your father and him telling you this?
I felt really, really angry, and now I feel safe. But this is a new feeling for me. It's a brand new feeling. I've never felt this before.
What does that feel like even now, to allow yourself to really feel it?
It feels...
And drop into that feeling.
It feels so good that I feel guilty because I feel this good.
So this is really interesting because for, I would say, over 90% of the people, the core reason for people not being able to do what they really want is not allowing themselves to feel a certain way. Not allowing themselves. They have a cap on how good they can really feel.
Right.
Because if I feel this good, it can't be real.
Right.
You know, something bad is going to happen because I'm not allowed to sustain this feeling of feeling good.
Right, that's true.
So what's interesting is that every time that comes up, you can just recognize that feeling. So for us, it's like blowing through that capacity for our feeling, our inner feeling. That yes, you deserve to feel this way, and you deserve to do exactly what you want and feel good all at the same time?
What's painful for me at this moment is I know what I want to do, but it's not in my hands. It's not tangible. It's not in my hands yet. And it's painful because I don't have a plan B. Like, this is my plan. I'm not going back. And what if it doesn't work? And all that fear starts kicking in.
So just notice your energy around it when you think it's painful.
Well, it makes me mad. Because...
And then what else happens?
Then I go back to that 7-year-old girl that's being shamed by her father. And I don't want to be that anymore.
Did you see that loop that was created because you think it's painful to be in your truth?
Yeah.
And it takes you to the anger and the frustration and being back to 7 years old again with your father. So what I'm just wanting to reveal to you is that your own beliefs about what something is and what it means is causing the resistance. It's causing the block.
Okay.
What we're going to work on just for this coaching session is shifting your inner feeling.
Okay.
And really looking behind those beliefs. Look behind every belief, everything that you have a resistance to, everything that comes up for you when you make steps towards your new journey and the thing that you want to create. You're going to look at everything that brings up that fear and you're going to be present with it. So the ability to be present with anything that comes up, really allowing yourself to look at that and to be with that and moving through it. It's just an energy. I want you to be really aware every time you have resistance, like you can't do the next one thing. I want you to be really aware of the conversation that's happening in your head. Okay, the feelings that you're feeling, and the belief that you're running as part of that conversation.
Yes.
And the way to deal with this is to write it down, because when you identify what it is that's blocking you, and you can name it, then it loses its power. And you can let it go. You know, so it's just like being really gentle and compassionate with yourself. You know, not being hard on yourself. When you are being hard on yourself, just recognizing that. You can come back to that place where you would talk to yourself like you would your own best friend. You know, like be that kind to yourself. Melissa, what are 3 things that you can do?
I'm going to make 1 necklace. I'm going to contact 10 clients. And I'm going to write 3 pages per day.
Excellent. How does that feel?
It feels doable and it feels realistic for me.
Are you excited to do that?
I'm really excited to embark on my new life.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. We'll connect in a week's time.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.